Hi, this is Regina again. I've been thinking about another topic I would like to discuss, and it goes along with my last video about the Section 8 and the food stamps. And this one is what it's like to be poor in America. I can tell you in one word what it's like. It stinks. There's nothing fun or funny about being poor in America. There's nothing noble about it. I heard one time an author whose name I cannot remember, but he said that being poor gives you character, and it creates noble people. To me, that's a bunch of crap. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating. You get rejected. You get made fun of. You get looked down upon. People assume that you are not intelligent or well-read. They think you're stupid. If you're a woman and you're poor, well, you're pretty much worthless. So that's what it's like to be poor in America. I've lived in this state all my life. In the town I live in, 4 generations of my mom's people have lived in this town. I've been poor my entire life. For me, when it was worse in the 80s. A lot of you young people who are watching this video may not understand, but back then, ask your parents about this, they'll know, or even your grandparents. Back then there was a movie called Wall Street, and in this movie, Michael Douglas played this character named Gordon Gekko. And Gordon Gekko's theme was greed is good. And that basically describes the entire 80s. It was all about money and having the latest things and the latest fashions and, going to Salvation Army or a thrift store. I can't explain to you how many times in my childhood I was made fun of and humiliated because my mother had to do that. We couldn't afford brand new items. Now it's fashionable and it's in to repurpose and, sell used clothes on Etsy and all those things. Back in the 80s, nuh-uh. You had to have the latest styles and the latest jeans and the latest shoes. I got my shoes from Salvation Army. Used shoes. I got made fun of, I don't know how many times. I went home and cried. It was that bad. Right up until I graduated from high school. Because when I was a teenager, I did work. Like I said in my previous video, I worked till I was 12 years old. And my previous, when I was a teenager, I worked. But that money went to help my siblings and to keep food and a roof over their head. I didn't benefit anything from it. I didn't go out and buy makeup. I didn't go out and buy brand new spanking clothes. I couldn't see my siblings do without. That was just plain and simple. Couldn't see them do without, so I did without to make sure that they didn't. So, but, and I'm sure people are thinking, well, it's different. Well, it maybe in a way it is different. But poor is poor no matter what year you're living in. You could be poor growing up through the Depression, through the 50s, through the 60s, through the 70s, through the 80s, into the 90s, on up until now. Poor is poor. And so, in some ways it's worse now because of all the technology that is out there. The latest iPhone 8s. Sometimes my nephew is going through this, and that, he wants the latest basketball shoes or, whatever apparel is hot right now. being poor, it stinks. You, especially hardcore poor. I'm not talking about having to skip a latte at Starbucks because you're a little low this week. No, I'm not talking that level of poor. I'm talking about destitute. I'm talking about roach-infested, leaky windows, mold in the bathroom, poor. Food stamps, Section 8, food bank, relying on food banks. I'm talking that level of poor. It stinks. Now, in my previous video, I mentioned how poor I was growing up. We did not have a car, period. When our aging wringer washer, and I'm talking the 80s here, we had a wringer washer up till the 80s. When that broke down, we had to take a wagon and haul our dirty clothes all through town to the laundromat. And then when they were clean, we had to haul them all the way back. That level of poor. And my family was homeless. After my father passed away in '86, the slumlord who rented us our roach-infested, leaky windows kicked us out of our home. He didn't want us there anymore. So we were homeless. We didn't live on the street. We had family who took us in, and boy, do we appreciate that. But we did not have a permanent address. We bounced around from relative to relative. That's the kind of poor I'm talking about. It stinks. It keeps you up at night because you don't know where your next meal is going to come from. You rob Peter to pay Paul because you don't know what to pay the electric bill or to pay another bill with that. You have to constantly switch back and forth your bills. You're never financially secure. There is no cushion when you're poor. There's no cushion. Because if you had a cushion, you're not poor. You may be lower middle class, but I'm talking hardcore poor. And fortunately, as I said in my previous video, I have family to rely on. We rely on each other. We keep each other afloat. But there are a lot of people out there who do not have that. And they're single mothers with children who have no fathers in their life. My mom was a single mother for a long period of time. She dealt with that many, many times. She had to go to Salvation Army or like the Catholic Charities to keep our lights on. And I'm sure it kept her up many, many nights. So, you know, I can understand why immigrants want to come to this country, because here in the United States, I'm sure that we have it much better than they do, but it's not a bed of roses living in this country. It's not. For some people like myself, who's always been poor, that's all I've ever known. I don't know any other way to live other than to survive and to do the best I can and just grin and bear it, grit my teeth, and hope for better times that are coming. That's all I can do. And I'm sure that people who saw my last video when I talked about the food stamps, you're thinking, well, you know, what does she know about going hungry? Look how fat she is. Yes, I am fat. There's a reason why I'm fat. I used to be heavier. I used to weigh 400 pounds. Now I'm down to about 230-ish. 239 last time I was weighed when I went to the doctor. Because, like I said in my previous video, my siblings and I were malnourished. And when my father passed away in '86, I was a teenager. I was 18 years old. I just graduated. I'd been out of school for about a year. I'd graduated in '85. He died exactly 1 year and 1 month to my graduation date. My brother was 17, my sister was 13, and my youngest brother was 10. And when he passed away, like I said, we were homeless. But, you know, because all of me and my brother and my sister were working, we was working odd jobs, we didn't have to worry about his alcoholism. We didn't have to worry about his booze. So we was able to get the food that we liked, that we wanted, that we wanted. And that's where my weight came. I ate to make up for what I did not get as a child. That's as simple as I could put it. And, with depression, a lot of poor people are depressed. They take medicine. It's not easy being poor. When you're looked down upon and you're told by the government that everything is your fault. If you would stop needing food stamps, the government could afford all these things. The government they can afford everything anyway. They just need to do a little bit better budgeting and make some things a priority. That has nothing to do with it. Some people are just poor because they was born that way. They can't help it. They didn't ask to be born in a poor household. That's not what they asked for. I didn't ask for it. My siblings didn't ask for it. So now, yes, I more than made up for my lack of nutrition when I was a child. But that's on me. That's my decisions. That's my poor eating habits. That's my bad decisions and food choices. That's on me. And right now I'm taking care of that situation. It may be too late. I don't know. I don't think it is. I got to do something, and a little is better than nothing. But, but being poor, and I imagine it's much worse for minorities. Because they're looked down just based on their skin tone and being poor. I have that positive fortunately, I was born a white person. I don't look at it that way, because being a woman has a lot of disadvantages to that. It's not easy being a poor woman in this country. It's just not. So I just wanted to tell people, that, give the poor people a break. We go through a lot. We have a lot of stress on us to provide, and and a lot of poor people are working. We work. We've been working. It's not like we sit on our butts, watch the soaps, and eat chocolate all day long. Or, play video games or on our tablets. A lot of poor people work 1, 2, 3 different jobs. I myself used to work 2 different jobs for periods of time. I don't now because of my health, but I used to. All I ever did was work, but I have nothing to show for it, because I used that money to pay rent and to keep a roof over my siblings' head, to pay for their school, for their supplies, for their food. I didn't receive any benefit from that, from working all those years. So I just wanted to put that out there, that, for the people who make fun of poor people, it only takes something like this government shutdown to make you poor yourself. Paycheck to paycheck. It could take one catastrophe like what's going on now to put you in places that I've been. And it's not fun. I wouldn't recommend it, being poor, to my worst enemy if I had one. I have a friend of mine who says that she wants to be poor. No, she does not. And I told her so. Said there are many levels of poverty, and I've seen them all, and you don't want anything to do with it. Living a simple life, that's, you know, you can have money and live a simple life. But to wish for poverty, no, you don't want to do that. And the Bible says that the poor will always be with us up to a certain period of time. So we, us tax-paying poor people, we earn those benefits. That's not entitlement. We earned it. So I earned the Section 8. I earned the food stamps. I earned Medicaid. Because without Medicaid, I would have been dead a long time ago. With my diabetes, and I had a cancer scare. I had to have cancer surgery last year, and I would be dead from cancer if I didn't have Obamacare. So there goes that theory. I'm one of the lucky recipients of that. And God, my God, Jehovah, made sure that I got Medicaid and everything I need so that I could go to the doctor. But even that is not foolproof. Even that has its flaws. Sometimes you have to go miles to see a doctor that because they don't practice in your area. I have to go to 100 miles to see a dermatologist for my psoriasis. 100 miles. Down near Cincinnati. So, it's not poor. It's not easy being poor. My car is from 2002. I couldn't drive down there to Cincinnati because I don't know if I would make it back. And I don't have credit cards. I don't have AAA. I don't have any of that stuff. So being poor is living on a razor's edge. It really, truly is. And I don't recommend it to anybody. And to people who are poor, hey, I completely get it. I completely understand. I'm right there with you. I know how it is. Having to put stuff back at the Dollar Tree because you don't have enough money. Or the Dollar General store because you don't have enough money. How embarrassing that is. Putting gas in your tank enough to get you through the work week and hoping that the gas prices don't rise or that your car doesn't break down. That's what it's like to be poor. I'm not even talking about not going on a vacation or, going to events like concerts or, all that other stuff. I haven't had a vacation in almost 10 years, other than my cancer surgery, but I don't consider that a vacation. That was a life-saving procedure. So, when you're ill, that's not a vacation. Because you have to get well quick to go back to work. So, that's my take on being poor in America, people. It's not fun. It's not funny. It's a struggle. You lose sleep. You worry. If you get sick like I did last year with my cancer surgery, thank God I had the sense enough to have money put aside so that I was only out of work for a month, so that I had enough money to pay for that month's expenses. Because I'd been saving for a car, because I didn't have a car at the time. So I had to use that money to live on. That's what I'm talking about. That's what it's like being poor in America. So I want everybody to think on this and really understand, that it's no fun. It's no fun being poor. Far from it. Oh my God, it's as I mentioned earlier, that person, the author who said that being poor brings you character. I would like to punch him in the throat if I could. because that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I have plenty of character. Sometimes I would just like a little bit more moolah. But I realize in this world I'm not going to get that. Am I happy about it? No. Do I like it? No. I don't like it one bit. And I try my best to have my basic needs met. But anyway, this video is now 20 minutes. So I just wanted to make this additional video and tell you what my thoughts are about that. As usual, put your comments down below, and I'll respond to it as soon as I can. All right, bye.